I think this is the most interesting video that our 3 subscribers will memorize. So, how to become a developer in Bali.
Well, it's very simple. You open a company. How much money?
Let us get to the numbers. We're opening a company. What's the cost?
How much does it cost to open a company? $18,1,200.
$1,200? Yes. How much time?
It can be urgent or not urgent. If it's not urgent, it takes about 3 weeks.
So, 3 weeks, $1,200, and you have a company. How many people are needed in the company?
At least 2 people.
They must be present in Indonesia, must they?
At least one must obtain a KITAS and be present in Indonesia at least once for this.
Great. We opened the company. How long does it take to open an account afterwards? The director or the person who becomes the director in turn receives a kit, opens a bank account in some local bank. As I understand it, it is currently impossible to obtain. You can't do it anywhere at all. No way. Absolutely 100%. You cannot get a card without a KITAS, no matter what. Even if you went to Bali.
Yes. Even going to Bali was not allowed.
Forgot.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not worth it.
Okay. A bank account is being opened.
Yes.
What's next?
They open the account at the bank in about a week or 2, while they check the office, verify the company itself, the documents, and so on.
Wait, the office has to be physical. Am I understanding correctly?
Well, the virtual office that we, for example, provide implies a physical office, meaning it is always available. An employee must always come, take photos of everything from the bank and say, yes, this company has an office. Okay, well, it's just called virtual, but in reality, it is physical. A physical location must exist. Accordingly, you get photographed, and in a couple of weeks, you have a company with a bank account there. What do you need to do next? Next, you need to develop your eye for opportunities, which means looking for land that you will be considering. Naturally, in the first 2 to 3 weeks, you will only find junk. Even if you sign the contract, it will still be crap compared to what you will have after 3-4 months of searching here in Bali.
What are the prices now? Are you aware?
Well, I'm somewhat aware, but it's too broad.
Let's take a broad approach first and then we can narrow it down later.
Let's go big. Usually everyone wants at least 4.5
millions.
For a year, but they go down to 3. In which areas? But it's difficult.
Areas is this?
This is in Ubud. Not in the unique areas of Ubud, so to speak. This is in Jimbaran. This is in Uluwatu.
In the unique area of Ubud, it's all near the park. What is the price near the park?
Well, if that's the case, then the price near the park will probably be around 6 to 8 million.
6 to 8 million?
Yes.
Because I heard it can go up to 20.
Well, what's going on? People really need money. That's why they say up to 20, plus sometimes it happens like this. I don't understand. Indonesians live near the park. They are already kind of the elite. Why do they need money? Look, for an Indonesian, your money is the only chance in life to earn, the only one. The state gave them this and guaranteed them this chance. It tells them to take everything they can from foreigners. They take from foreigners once. We live once, we get once. They take everything they can from foreigners.
Wonderful.
It's hard not to understand them.
Currently, around the world, China, Turkey, and even Dubai are oppressing and simply cutting off opportunities for business, especially from Russia.
Yes.
Everyone wants to move to a nice place to live and recover there as quickly as possible. What would you recommend?
100% Southeast Asia and 100% Indonesia. Because firstly, we have low taxes here, and secondly, we have, in a good sense, a financial dump where there is no strict and rigorous financial regulation, at least at the moment, making it quite easy to relocate or open a new business right here. From here, having a company in Indonesia, you can distribute money or send it wherever you need. And who will do that? There is an excellent, amazing, absolutely magnificent channel called Expert Bali. You can check it out. There is a lot of useful information on that channel about how to do this step by step and who specifically will do it. And in general, to organize this business practically turnkey, even without flying to Indonesia.
Cool. So, for 2 months, 3 people, the investor travels. The developer, yes, the future one, looks at the land. Wouldn't it be easier to have someone generate these tasks from the start in order to understand that? Well, you understand that if you start with the company, it's kind of a move from behind. This is necessary to calculate the financial model of everything.
Yes, the company is probably a step behind, on one hand. But on the other hand, if you are already in Dubai and have decided to invest here, you cannot do without a company, and it's best to start with opening a company. That's the first thing. The second thing is about delegation. If you have a development company, you are an experienced developer, and you already have an employee who understands what to pay attention to when choosing land. Of course, you will delegate this. Most people who come here do not have it. They do not have any charter capital, large amounts. Well, among the developers who come to us, probably about 60% arrive here, without the idea of investing in their own capital expenditures.
How much money do they want to invest?
Well, that's a very complicated question. We've never asked anything like that before. I think they have about 1,300, 1,400 in equity at the initial stage because their main idea is to find a plot of land, check that plot, reserve it, maybe even buy it, or possibly lease it, and prepare a project. For this project, they can attract investments either from their friends, through advertising here, or in some other way.
You have a penal painting.
Yes, there's nothing complicated. For example, I have a certain sales system. So, why do I want to become an INV? Would I become a TV seller? Well, I would just direct a slightly different traffic to this funnel, and that's it. It's very simple. There are no regulations, I'm telling you. No one regulates this. This hive here. There are no regulations.
Are there prospects for its regulation?
Only after something happens. Let's say after a conditional disaster.
So, let's say I bought a plot of land in a luxurious location, usually what?
Or rented, better rented.
I rented it for 30 years for the company. Well, yes. The plot there is very cheap, so to speak. There is water. And then it goes to surveying, right?
Yes. Next comes the geodesy, verification, of the certificate itself, and possibly land surveying to understand how many plots there will actually be.
What is the area of this plot as a rule?
I don't know, it seems to me R1520.
1520. That's approximately around 7 to 10 units, right?
Yes.
How much does 1,500 square meters come out to a unit?
Well, yes, something like that, yes.
Well, isn't it a bit small?
Well, maybe 2, yes.
Well, 2 is exactly 7 units.
Well, don't nitpick the calculations. It's hard for me to think right now.
Yes, I understand. It's a similar situation. The further we go, the more difficult it becomes. If we take a unit like this, it is itself tiny, just 200 square meters.
Small, yes. What do you expect? Do you think that there are usually like 600 square meters provided?
Well, not 6, but 3 or 4.
Well, let's say 3. Let's make it 3, okay? But I often see about 2, although I've never actually divided it. So I imagine it like this, that it's about 200 square meters. There could fit a small villa and a little pool there, all of it neatly.
Each little pool should be next to the villa, right?
Not one big. This is usually how it's done.
Is all of this shared, a common space? Are we going? Are we heading out? And is everything for rent or for sale?
Either the investor gets used to it right away to have the funds for construction, or it is sold.
What is the price?
The developer himself does not rent out the company, I understand.
Well, there is a management company, and then everything is sold to a second investor, a second-tier investor. And the second-tier investor goes through the management company of the first investor.
Yes, or it all goes through their management company.
Great. So it's a normal scheme.
Well, it's normal. Yes. I'm telling you, I wouldn't start looking for money.
For your money, we will build something that will bring us money. And you a little.
But again, considering that 85–90% is done from abroad, it is clear that a person needs to spend some money to come here and organize all of this. Actually, it's not $200,000 to organize all of this. Let it be $10,000.
So, $10,000, yes, for the organization, plus some amount for land rental.
Yes, well, $100,000, for example, 150.
Yes, plus some target advertising, blah, blah, blah.
$5,000 with all the mistakes.
And we have arrived at the most interesting part. We are starting to build.
Yes.
But this is practically almost an impossible story. Because everything that is built here is rebuilt, 2 to 3 times. The tiles are relaid. Construction in Bali is a very unique, special art of navigating between horror and nightmare. All deadlines are being extended. Properties are being delivered with delays on average after how long? After 1.5 to 2 years, right?
Look, developers often even specify that they can, for example, delay the deadline once, at least by 3 months. In general, large construction projects are delayed much more significantly. Of course, smaller projects are delayed by 6 months to 9 months.
And how much time do they take to build per the contract?
About a year to a year and a half, probably.
That is, you are obliged to submit in a year and a half, but you can also do it in 2.5.
Well, it's a bit different there. Usually, from the developer's side at least, we require that a penalty for delays be imposed. Overall, yes.
And what is the amount of the initial deposit, please?
Well, that's about the last 30%.
Do you perhaps contribute 30%? And then as your bricks grow?
No. You see, what's the story? There is always a conflict of interest here because it is not beneficial for the developer to rent to you as the bricks grow. If he has many units, he only sells you one. So you need to adjust a very complex schedule for each one.
No, look, I paid 30% the next day. When do I pay?
According to the contract, let's say, as it is called, with the payment terms. That's all. That is to say, the payment schedule is most often not tied to the bricks, and this is usually a very rigid position of the developer, completely unrelated to the bricks.
What is it attached to?
Just by the deadline, you pay again in 3 months, then again and again. It's just a frustration that you have to deal with.
How can I check if the money is being invested or just lost?
Choose whether to invest or not. Most of the time, that's how it is. And most of the time, people choose to invest.
Invest. What is the average price per square meter, please?
Are you referring to the construction stage?
Yes.
Well, I've already mentioned it here, by the way. We were criticized. The square is around $700.
$700 at the construction stage. At the stage?
For the developer, I mean the cost price.
Well, what is the cost price for a second-level investor, for the buyer, let's say?
$2,100, $2,500, it depends on the level. It could be $4,500, but at that point, it won't be $700 at the initial stage.
So somewhere around 3, probably around 3 times. Yes, 3.
Well, the truth is, developers always say that they spend a lot on marketing and so on and so forth.
Of course, it needs to be sold.
The developers themselves say that there are actually about 2 of them. Well, that is, they usually acknowledge X2, but not X3.
Not quite. All right. The money is invested. Everything is submitted. What is the price of the ready unit? If we entered at $2,700 or $2,500, then we need to sell it ready.
Listen, well, $2,500 is the price for a ready unit right now, I told you. $2,500 is the price of a ready unit.
No, wait a second. If I invest as an investor, at what price per square meter am I investing?
You are investing. I see. I understand your question now.
In 2 years, I'll get a square meter. I am investing.
What I see is what I see. You invest at a price of about 1902.
I am investing in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yes?
In 2 years, it will take 1.5 to 2 years to build.
Yes. You can even make some money from reselling if the developer gives you that opportunity, of course.
So, well, the developer here is quite impressive.
The developer is great, no questions about it.
And would you gladly become a developer?
If I were to do it, I would definitely, if I were to build, I would build it as a developer right away.
Who is building all of this? Tell me, who are these people?
Those who are good at reselling newly built housing.
No. Who is specifically building? Here is the construction process. You became a developer, or any person who watched this video, has $200,000, $300,000, came here, arranged everything through Bali Legal, an expert in Bali helped him with this, and he set up a special incense to ensure that these companies thrive, and now he is a developer, right? He has a company, Kitos, all here, the whole story. Now he needs to build. He even has a project. Who are the builders? Where does he get the builders?
Here, we were just talking about this sequence. During these first 3 months, aside from the land, you are looking for a contracting organization that will build for you. If you have a large project, usually 3 to 4 teams are hired so that you can observe how the work is progressing. Each team works on a different section, and accordingly, you can remove those who are not needed.
Is this a problem?
This is a big problem.
That is? What percentage of people at this stage? The first stage being that we have approached the construction process, and we already have the money? What percentage fails at the second stage, which is the construction process?
What do you mean it doesn't continue?
No, they are trying to build, but they are not succeeding.
Oh, everything.
They can't build it for that price. They keep increasing something there. That's it. They have already laid the tiles 3 times, and it's still crooked.
Everyone, absolutely everyone will go through this. Absolutely everyone will go through this. Well, I will say this. There are local companies there, yes, with better characteristics, and some with worse. But still, during the construction process, the staff changes because some are at one site, some at another, and so on. So everyone will go through this, just to a greater or lesser extent.
Therefore, to avoid making mistakes on your own, it's best to turn to a reputable company that can at least provide you with a quote starting from $1,000 per square meter, keeps its promises, and actually delivers on everything.
Well, he keeps his word. In Bali, it's like this.
He is trying to keep his word.
Right now, absolutely all entrepreneurs are facing personnel issues, and in construction, it's just hell. So, I don't know about keeping promises. Overall, I don't really advocate for guarantees here because I understand what kind of guarantees can be. A good developer should generally have a solid 3 to 5 years of experience, should have expertise, and should have normal, either in the world or in Bali. No, in Bali. In Bali, Bali is a separate story in the world.
All right? A miracle has happened, everything is built, it works on time and with quality. Well, I call them miracles. Clap. A second-level investor who is also the buyer arrives. He enjoys all of this and then tries to rent it all out. Through a management company. Well, through a management company, he can't rent it all out himself.
If he has his own company here, then he can...
Well, okay, it's just a private individual who bought it.
Then he can't do it himself.
Rents through a management company. Really, how much does such a second-level investor earn?
Well, when our subscriber was talking about 6%,
6-8%, yes.
well, he will probably be getting 6 to 8%.
In annual?
Yes.
Yes, but here you have to do a renovation every 2 years.
Well, look, I recently spoke with developers, guys who initially built well. I mean, the quality of the materials was good. They didn't do any renovations for the first 10 years, but then they had a large-scale renovation, meaning that after 10 years they renovated everything. So yes, on average, you should probably consider a renovation period of about 5 years. Not just 2-3, but around 5 years. Yes, that's the average.
And what percentage exactly still needs to be added?
We need to calculate the percentage, I think, from 7 to 10. From 7 to 10% of the cost.
So, all right, accordingly, let's take 10%, which means we discard at least 2 years.
10%? No, 6 to 8%, those that I calculated, already include this work.
Well, 1.5 out of 10 years, 1.5 years plus respectively, because each of their 5 years plus 1.5 years. In total, the exit is in 13 years.
Yes.
Breaking even after 13 years.
But the design you have with the plot...
With all the businesses that can also be sold. It's something close to reality.
Something close to reality, yes.
But 13 years.
Well, yes.
And you still want to become Dave?
You see, yes. I want to become a developer. I didn't want to in general. It's from the conversation. If I had to choose, the developer's task is very simple. Just to sell. Just to sell. That is, I would simply resell. That would be my task. If you want to become a developer, it's really cool here. Besides the strategy of just selling to get quick money, you also need to understand that this money can get stuck.
A little...
For about 13 years, as you say.
So, tell me, where exactly do second-level buyers, the end customers, find out about their options? How do they precisely choose where to buy something? In order for a level 1 developer to understand what needs to be done to start construction more quickly later on.
Well, look, my opinion, I haven't analyzed this, but it seems like this. How do they find out? Very simple. Massive, aggressive advertising. So we have 2 types of developers. The first one builds well, but advertises little. The second one builds poorly, but advertises well. Out of mass advertising, this one works the best. Mass advertising is quite aggressive. It works very well. And that is why most major developers always have their clients.
How can a buyer really navigate through all this aggressive advertising? How can they make the right choice?
Oh, well, I can maybe give a couple of tips here.
Well, it's clear. First, you definitely need to visit Expert Bali to familiarize yourself with certain things. Bali Legal will help with all of that.
It's not even important. Not that important. What's probably more important is to understand what comes first. Russian-speaking developers here build worse than non-Russian-speaking ones. That is to say, the Turks, the French, and the Americans build better there. That is the first point. They generally usually have been here longer and have more experience. More expensive. You know, I think the difference might be about 10-15%. It could be more expensive, but it's not critical. Okay, faster. Will they build it faster? Yes, and with better quality. They often already have something built that can be viewed. Here, this is the first point. The second, and they usually have no confusion with the documents. That is to say, there is really not much to check. Everything seems clean, good, and generally not bad. Here, what else? Probably, when you are looking for a developer, you should do it not from abroad, but here. And just visit the sales department to understand, because a lot can be understood about the companies from the sales department. If the sales are aggressive, trying to push something on you, which is always felt, attempting to sell you a property right here and now, then it makes sense to consider some other companies. In general, at the stage of human relationships, there is a lot to understand here, and it will be difficult to grasp this abroad.
Are there any other tips?
Not buying real estate from abroad. Honest.
It's better not to buy from abroad.
Yes. Come here to sort things out. Come here to sort things out. Sign the contract with a notary, because this will give you much more seriousness, including from the developer's side. This is the approach. The developer will always say, yes, you can sign the contract from abroad, you can. But in reality, this contract does not hold any weight for you at all from the perspective of Indonesian legislation. That is the problem. Only a notarized document will have any legal force here. So why risk your money, especially if you have little of it at all, in the first place?
So, how beneficial is it to buy ready-made ones?
But this is the least advantageous option. Why?
You already bought the reality right away. You are renting out the reality.
But profitability, what is it determined by? By cost? Accordingly, this will be the maximum cost. If you are buying something that is already built with a tenant, for example, then it can be profitable. You need to consider your investment strategy. But overall, this is the least advantageous way to buy.
I see. So, investments and development are the most attractive aspects in Bali.
Yes.
In your deep conviction, a person who has seen everything and anything, essentially.
Well, no, I haven't seen much, but yes. Yes, yes.